What's up, everyone? Welcome to the video. Today we are going to be going over some very simple user handling where we're going to simulate logging in and logging out of an app and a couple other methods. And I'm also going to show you guys how you could stand up a fake server so that you can test functionality like this locally. And I think this is a really helpful exercise, even though it's not practical web dev. So you'll see what I mean by that when we get into it. So we're going to start with a demo. And here's the app with our user component up top here. So it says that we're logged in as a guest and offers us to navigate to where we can log in. And we're just in a blank route right here. So this would just be the index, and you would be able to see this user component anywhere that you go in the app. So you can navigate to the app page, to the account page, to a blank page, and we're always going to see the user that is signed in, like you would see on any website where you're going to have a profile. So this is what we're going to be attempting today. If you go to the login page, we are going to see two forms to log in or sign up for a free account. And over here is our server, which is running on JSON server. So I'll show you guys how to set this up really easily, but this is pretty much just looking at a JSON file in a repository where I've added this list of objects. And JSON server is actually allowing us to read and write to that JSON file that's just locally in our app files. So that is how we're going to simulate kind of logging in, logging out of an actual infrastructure. So as you can see, we have two users here, test and spope. We're going to log in as spope with the password funny. And funny. And that will, oh, actually, refresh this guy. Yeah, our password is 0123. So we'll throw that in and hit enter, and that will change our user component to say that we're logged in as spope and welcome. And then we can go to the account page, and we have three options: change our password, delete our account, or log out. Logging out will just keep you on the account page, but change the user component back to saying guest, and then you've got just a route to the login page here. Log back in. And changing password will disable these three buttons and reveal this form that says what do you want your new password to be, and we will say 12345. Confirm. It will tell us that it changed our password, and that will also log you out. So now if we go and sign back in, our old password won't work anymore, and our new password will sign us in. And then finally, we can, you can see that that updates in the JSON server. And finally, we can delete our account, and it'll say, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Say OK. And that'll log us out, and now we will no longer be able to log in as spope. It'll say we can't find your account, sign up. So that's all we're going to be going over today. Super simple video, and this will hopefully spur some thought of how would this actually be handled, maybe in an environment that has to be more secure, or just a more robust app with that has to handle a lot of instances and a lot of users. So this one really made me think it was a fun project to take on, and I just wanted to show you guys. So as always, you can find this on my GitHub. It's this simple login.js repo. And here we'll give you all the dependencies that you need to install. So let's actually, I'm going to show you guys at least how to run JSON server. And we will, I'll close down the one that's running right now. Cool. Cool. So I'm going to pull up the start file, and there we go. So this is everything that you will need to look at. We're just working with these 5 files in the start files. And right now we can go to our account page, log in, go to login. Actually, before we do anything, you're going to want to open up a new terminal, and as you can see here, we have our user info folder and our users.json. So that's exactly what you saw in the local host. And in order for us to start JSON server and say, look at this file and read and write to it when we tell you to, we're just going to paste in that npx command from the README. And that's ugly, but npx JSON server, and then the watch command allows you to route to where you want it to watch. So you just start with source and then your folder and your file, and it will start that up for you. It's pretty quick. Oh, yeah, there we go. And they do this little guy right here, and then it says loading the sources, and the only object that we have here is users. So that's our list of users. So you could have as much stuff as you want to really play with in this server, and it'll list all of those out for you right here. And it says that it's running on 3000 for us, so we'll open that up. So yeah, this is the index, and we go to users. We see our 2 users. So this page will live update as we do post requests and anything to change it. We're going to be using Axios for that, so make sure you do an npm install of Axios. And we're actually only going to be using this server to post, put, and delete, because since we're just reading this from a file that's in our repository, we don't have to do GET requests with this app, because we're just going to read it from the JSON file by importing it. Much quicker that way, and less Axios to fog everything up. So we're going to start in login right here. And right now, if we go to this page, login, we're going to be able to use these buttons, and it'll say you're logged in, but nothing is actually going to happen here. You're signed up. Nothing's happening here. We're just bound to our two methods. So there's your form. There's your two methods. We're bound to them on the submit button. So I am going to start by with the login method, and I'm just going to write some pseudocode. So pretty much what we want to do is read our JSON file with our list of users and say, if someone's trying to log in, they put a username in. So we're going to say something like, if username exists, then do something. And then we're also going to say, if not, then tell them. So if the username exists, we're going to do something. And then if not, we're going to tell them it doesn't exist, and we're not going to route them anywhere or anything. So the something that we're going to do is, so the username exists. We know that we have them. The next question we want to ask is, what password did they put in? And that's going to be something like, if password is correct, then again, do something, but if not, tell them. Tell them it was incorrect, and we're not going to route them anywhere. So if the password is correct, that's when we're going to I'm just going to go back to our server to show you guys what we're actually recording for each user. We have an ID, username, password, and then the signed in Boolean here. So this is going to be what happens, what changes when we finally validate that the username exists and the password is correct. So the final step here is sign them in. And route them. Pretty much they're going to be on the login page, so we want to put them somewhere else. Cool, so I hope this gives you kind of a good game plan for what we're going to be attempting right now. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to create this usernames list. And we have our JSON file imported. So like I said, we're not going to do GET requests. We're just going to read this and create a list of the usernames so that we can validate if the user exists. And we're going to do that just with our little user list right here. That's our users and the user object. And we're just going to loop through that and add all of our usernames to our list. So we're going to say user list for each, and that's going to take in a function. We'll take the element and the index, and then we're going to go if the element is signed in. No, that's not what we're doing. We're going to say if we're actually not going to say if right now. We're not worried about that. We are just going to say usernames dot push our element's username. And that should just be username. Cool. And that should be all we need for now. I don't think we're going to need that index actually, so we can get rid of this guy. We'll just keep that to L. So let's actually log that to the console too and take a look. And here's our array of our two usernames. So we want to say if the username that they put in here is in this list, then continue. And if not, we're going to tell the user. So it's going to add a quick little autocomplete here. And we're going to start this by getting the text that goes into this input right here. So in order to do that, we're going to say let username equal document dot get element by ID. And we're just going to take this ID that we gave our two inputs, so login U and login P, and take the value of them. So login U dot value, and this one's going to be login P, right? Yeah. Cool. So now we have those, and we're going to start our GET request or our POST request. So this is going to be conditional, like our pseudocode shows. So we're going to start with if we're going to say usernames, which is our list, dot index of. So if the index of username is saying this guy right here, if this is in here, in order to say that is it in here, we need the index of to be greater than -1, because if it's not in there, it will be -1. if that is greater than -1, then we're going to we're first going to set our user IDs. So we have these variables up here that we can choose from if we need them. And I'm going to set the ID because we're going to need that later. So I'm going to say user ID. Equals user list. And then the index of user list is going to be our index that we get from here. And this will always hold true because right in this moment when we're evaluating this, that index will be the index of the user that is trying to sign in. So we're going to set user ID equal to that.id. And we're also going to set password equal to the same thing. .password. Confusing myself here, talking in circles a little bit. So now we are on to our second condition. So we're going to say if again. And we're going to say if password, because that's the password that the user put in, equals pass. The password that we know from our server is the password. If that is true, then we're going to sign the user in, and that is where Axios is going to come in now. So we've already got Axios set to this require Axios. It's going to let us make these requests, and we're going to say Axios dot put. So logging in will be a put request because we're just going to find the record of that user and change one attribute in it, or one property. Not even sure which one actually, but bingo, not important. We're going to throw some backticks in there, and then we just have to paste our URL. Make sure add in. Oh, yeah. So when you paste, it'll add in your protocol for you. Cool. So as you can see, like we've got to use our routing to get to the proper users. So this goes by ID. So IDs are 0 and 1. So if we want to get to S Pope, we've got to put 1 in there. So that's where our user ID is going to come in handy. We are going to add on to this expression our variable user ID. And that will allow us to make the put, and the parameters that a put requires are what do you want to change? And I'm not sure if we can just toggle the signed in property, but just to make sure nothing gets messed up, we're just going to reset everything else to what it already is. So the ID, that's user ID. Username. This will be super repeatable once we type this out once. Username. And then signed in. We're going to set that guy to true. And that's going to be the end there. Then after we issue that request, we are going to route, like we said. So we're just going to use history to route. We're going to say this props history push, and we're just going to push them to the index page. Great. Now, I believe we should be all set to test this guy out. Yeah, we'll worry about all that else later. Invalid property autocomplete. Did you mean? Yes, I did. Lovely. All right, so let's see if we can log in. And there you go, no issues. So if neither of these were true, we wouldn't have been routed to our new route, and that is where it took us. So yeah, nothing exciting there yet because we don't have everything set up, but let's now just set up what happens when we were wrong. So for this password, is password equal to password, we're going to have an else on that. And for that, we're going to use state. So up here, we will create an incorrect password. And set that equal to false. And then when they get that wrong, we're going to say this set state. True. And then, good. Yeah. We are also going to have another one of those. So after this guy, we'll have our else, and then we're kind of going to do the same thing here because this is how we're going to tell the user that they did something wrong. And this one will be user unavailable. start that one off as false too. So now down here in our template, we're going to want to add these two lines. So they're just paragraphs, and got two of them, and they can say whatever you want. So something like user available. And correct password, try again. And then we're going to set these to red. Just use some quick inlines. And what we're going to do is wrap them in that state condition. So in order for this to get rendered, we need this state dot that one's for username, so user unavailable. We need that to evaluate to true and render the paragraph. Same deal here. Okay, so if the username exists, do something. If the password is correct, do something else. If not, tell them the password's incorrect. If the username never existed, tell them that. So let's just try to sign in as this. We'll say username unavailable. Password, let's try to sign in as password that's incorrect, and it'll say incorrect password, try again. And as a best practice to get rid of this, when we do the incorrect password, we're going to want to always set the other ones back to false, the other states back to false when we set one to true. But we have one more coming, so we'll do that afterwards. So now we're going to focus on sign up. And the idea for sign up is going to be username available. Yes. Do something. No. So we're only going to have one if this time. So if it's yes, we're going to make the username, and it doesn't really matter what the password is because they're choosing it right now. So this one will be a little simpler. So we're going to start by again getting our two fields. And these are going to be sign up. And now we'll say if usernames index of, same deal here except opposite objective. So we're going to say now if this is equal to -1, instead of greater than -1, then we're going to do a post request where we create a new user. So for that, it's going to be a lot like our GET request, so our put request. So we'll just snag this, put it there, and change this to post, and get rid of our user ID, because we just want to post this to users as a new user. And we're going to post our user ID as our variable up here, which we never set. But when we first loop through our list up here, we want to say that next ID equals l.id. +1. So every time that it goes to a new one, it's going to say now next ID is equal to next ID is equal to 0 plus 1, so it's 1, and now next ID is equal to 1 plus 1, so it's 2. So it's the next ID so that we can have that, and that's what is going to be our ID down here so that we could have a unique user. And then username is user, password is password, and signed in is true. We also want to sign them in right when they create their account. So ideally no one else would be signed in. I guess that's a special case because we're mid-development right now. So technically we did sign in, I believe. So if we go to account, oh, never mind, we didn't. Just make sure. Oh, but we have true right here. Yeah, we want to not be signed in. I'll just change that right here for now. This won't be a problem once we get everything stood up. Nice. That should be about all we need for that one, except we are going to route the user again. Same way as before. And then if, so right here we said, is the username available? But if it's not available, then we're going to set another state. And that's going to be yeah, I set this to user unavailable. That was a misnomer. This should be called not signed up. Yeah, because that's what that one means. So we actually are going to use user unavailable, so I'll just change not signed up. Let's add not signed up and our comma. And yeah, this one is going to be not signed up. So this one, yeah, I am not sure what I was thinking here. Yeah, that's fine. Or you could say like sign up below for free or something like that. So then in our sign up, yeah, wow, that was confusing. We are going to say user unavailable is true. And then like I said before, anytime that we do that, we're going to want to also set the other two to false. So like this. Let's change this to incorrect password. Cool. So every time we set one to true, we set the other two to false. And now we need a not signed up alert right here, where we say actually, yeah, I'm mixing them up again. Where we're going to say username unavailable. Pick another. And we'll wrap that one in username unavailable. Cool. So now let's see what happens when we try to sign up as test. It's going to say username unavailable, pick another. And now if we try to log in as then our username unavailable goes away and our you aren't signed up shows up. Cool, so now we want to see if our post works. So let's throw in new guy. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we got a 404 on that. What did we do? This should be a post. Yeah. We've got our bracket in there. Don't want that. Everything else looks good, I think. Let's try that one. But it still routed us because the username was available. So our request just failed. Let's try that again. looks like everything worked out. Oh yeah, so now we have our new guy in our list here. And signed in is true. New ID, password hello. Sweet. So now we want the user that just signed in to show up above our navigation. That's in our user component. We're going to create this, and when we render it, we're going to pass it a username prop, so just keep that in mind. But this is just going to render a div that says, we're actually going to go up here and create a message. We're going to drill into our props too. And then our message is going to be, throw some backticks in. Logged in as plus a variable that's going to say, are we getting a username prop? So username. And if so, the username prop is going to be a string, so render that username, and if not, render guest. Then after that, we're just going to say comma, welcome. Cool, so I'm going to put our message in here. And then we're also going to say that if there's no username, then render this paragraph. Going to use our AND operator there. Actually, going to make it a span. It's just going to say click on anchor. To the login page. Here to sign up. Go. So that's all we need there, and then we're going to render it on our index page, which is right here, and in our header, we just want to have our user component. And we're going to pass username equals this active user, which is null right now. So it'll say that we're logged in as guest, welcome, click here to sign up. And this is even saying that even though we have one guy that is supposedly signed in, is our new guy user. And that's because in here, we're not setting active user. So let's do that. We're going to pretty much do the same thing that we did in login. Grab this. And just put it right here, and instead of doing any of this, we'll just say if signed in is true, and set active user to that username. Yeah, and we just want it to be the string. So then this will set active user to any username that evaluates the signed in to true, and then we'll say that we're logged in as a new guy. Cool? So now we're actually going to be getting the username on this account page, and this account page is looking for a user, and if it's finding one, it's rendering our 3 buttons here, but we were only seeing this link to the login page because this was already evaluating to false. So let's see if we see that on our login, on our account page now. Oh, never mind. We're not. So we need to do our same loop. Yes. Yeah, because we just have let user right here. But we don't do anything. So let's get that same loop. And do it over here. Oh wait, did we not? Yeah, we're going to want to take this. We'll do that right there. And then instead of this, we have our user right here, which is what we're asking the question about. So instead of setting active user, we'll just say user. I don't know why I named it all different stuff, but that's confusing. So now on our account page, we will see our 3 buttons: change password, delete account, or log out. So let's start with that fun stuff. We are going to do log out first, which is another put. We'll just grab our put from login. Yep. We're going to go in here and say, in our log out methods right now, it'll just alert us. But instead of that, we want to do a put where, right here, we're setting our user ID. So we want to say if signed in equals true, set our user ID. .id, and we're just going to do this for all of our stuff here. And user index, which will also come in handy here, equals IDX, which we're not including in this loop yet, so let's make sure we add that in. Cool, so we have all of those established based on who the user that's signed in is. And then when we put to log out, we want to put for our user ID. We're just going to set everything back to what it is, except signed in needs to be false. And also, we are going to set user equal to undefined, because we don't want this guy to still think there's a user. We want it to render not these buttons anymore because no one's logged in. So we'll save that, see what happens. Yeah, so did something wrong there. Username is not defined. 23, 24. Yeah, so our stuff is called user and pass, not username and password. User equals username, pass equals password. Yeah, cool. And can we log out? We can. We go right back to logged in as guest. So it's our password, 0123. Nice. Go back to our account. And now we want to be able to change our password. And this is going to be another put. So we can snag this again. And this is just going to I guess it does that, but actually so in our state I already have changed PW there for us, and oh yeah, I have our on click set to change PW equals true and disabled equals true. Okay, but disabled isn't in our state yet. Disabled equals false. Okay, yeah. So now we change our password. What's good here? So disabled. Oh, okay. Disabled is only set to false here. So we need this to be this dot state dot disabled. And now that will disable our buttons and reveal our new form. And if we click that, it alerts us that it changed our password. So in order to actually do this, we want to say same thing as kind of what we did here with our login. We want to say let new password, new pass, we'll call it, equal get element by ID, new P. So that's our ID there. And then we are going to, again, do a put with Axios, where we will put our active user ID that we already know, set its ID to the same thing, its username to the same thing. Its signed in is going to be true because they're the user that is using the app right now, and then password will be our new pass. Then we're also going to tell them in the alert change successfully. Let's see how this works for us. You know what? I am actually going to set this to false so that it also signs the user out so that they have to sign back in with their new password. So we changed two things this time, password and signed in. So we go to change password, those buttons disable, and the new password is going to be Larry. We'll confirm that. It'll say password changed successfully. And then it signs us out. So now we go to log in. We were in there as, let's actually just see if that updated. So now we have S Pope and a Larry. Boom. Cool, right? Okay, plowing ahead. We're almost at the finish line here. The only thing we have left to do is if we want to delete our account. And this one, guys, is the simplest one that we're going to do. So we are going to create a Boolean with the window confirm method. So we're going to say let answer equal window confirm. And then you can just prompt whatever you want. We're just going to say are you sure you want to delete your account? And then we'll say if answer, if that evaluates to true pretty much, which it'll evaluate to true if they choose OK. They'll also have a cancel option, which will make it evaluate to false, and then we won't do this. Axios dot delete. Add your backticks and that in, and we want to make sure that we delete the correct user. That is all that we have to take care of in this one. We've got our 3 users. We're signed in as S Pope. See what happens if we delete this guy. It says that's not what we wrote. That is so weird. Oh, we already had that right here. What? I have no idea why I just did all of that. I didn't realize that I had all of this code. Um, I'm not even awake right now, guys. Um, so I guess we don't need that. Yeah, I set up too much of an alley-oop for myself there when I was making the start file. That was so confusing. So now if we delete our account, it'll say, are you sure you want to delete your account? We say okay. And that'll submit our delete. We'll be logged out. And we won't have our SPOPE account anymore. Log in as new guy. Password. Hello. What happened there? Password hello. We get logged in. Go to the account, delete that B. Okay. Log us back out. And there you go, our server updates again. So this is a very bare bones way to simulate kind of what a developer should be thinking about when handling users. And I'd really like some feedback on this to see what you guys think about how I went about it, and if anyone has experience doing this for a more robust app. What's different? What is similar with actually using an infrastructure for this kind of stuff? Obviously, you're going to have a real server and use some security precautions. So that's the kind of thing that I want to learn about going forward. But this is my introduction to handling users. So I really hope that you guys learned something here. This one was definitely beneficial for me. Thanks again for watching, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you next time.